here's the thing. I think it's important to, because we just kind of went off on this writer
Mm,
in kind of a harsh way, but I think it's important because what we just did here was we're trying to illustrate, well, we talk about it all the time, the head book versus the paper book. When you're writing a book, you're writing two books at the same time, one in your head and one on paper, and you don't know it. When you reread your own work, you put them together seamlessly. The
mm,
problem is when you hand us the paperwork book, you can't hand us the head book. So this writer may know exactly why the response, what is that supposed to mean, makes sense to a message that says get down to headquarters immediately. Maybe maybe this guy can't leave this room. Maybe he's on a moon and headquarters is in another galaxy and there's no way to get there immediately. Like maybe he does know all of this stuff, but we're the readers and we only get your paper book. And so this makes no sense to us, this response, because he said, come here. And he's like, what's that supposed to mean? Come here.
yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean anything. Come here. Like, it literally means something. Releasing your inner dragon. All right, Marie, I think we're going to do another live edit. So while you set everything up, I'll do the song and dance that we always do at the beginning of this. Please remember, these are our opinions. We're going to give our opinions of what we think this writer could do to improve all of their things that they're doing, but they are subjective and they are opinions, and take them, leave them. I don't care. If you think we're wrong, you're right because it's subjective, but we're also right because we're right. Like that's what subjective means. If you would like to be a part of this, we do this at least once a month, sometimes twice a month, where we have an entire backlog of things that people have sent us. Send us about 1,000 words, and we will go through it and do what we do. Just make sure you write on there that it is for live editing, because we are hopefully before the end of the year going to do one more first page read, which is where we read the first page of a manuscript and act like an industry professional on where we would probably reject that.
Mm.
So if you want to be a part of that, send us your very first page of the manuscript, and just make sure you put in there that it is for first page reads.
Yeah.
And the address is down below, but it's releasingyourinnerdragon@gmail.com. So it's pretty simple.
I just want to say on the first page read, I'm actively now calling for first page first pages to come in. And I will put out a post as well to that effect. So, get them in. Send them along. All
Yeah,
right.
because we want to do at least one more before, probably just one before the end of the year.
Yeah.
I can't believe it's November.
We
It's
are
insane.
so close to the end of the year, it's scary.
I don't even know what happened to this year. Now I did lose the first 6 months to illness, but
All
all right.
right. So, this is called The Message, and I'm just going to start reading, and then we'll take it from there.
Because we have no idea.
No,
We always come into these blind.
very blind.
So
Garrick Eldridge cast his gaze down at the small chunk of folded grey paper waiting for him on the table in the dining hall. Folded twice, perfectly smooth, with not a single fibre out of place. No seal, tape, wax, or ribbon to protect its contents. The sender and the deliverer knew that no one would dare read it if they were not meant to. He narrowed his eyes at the students sitting at the surrounding tables. No one paid him any attention. Even if it was one of them, they knew better. Ascendant discipline, as strict as it is annoying. I'm going to stop there briefly. What are your thoughts on the first few paragraphs?
the writing's great. I
Mm,
don't think I have any edits at all. Although I was still getting set up, so I wasn't 100% paying attention to it. But the problem that as far as word by word,
mm.
I was paying attention to you reading. The problem that I have is I don't understand. I'm not grounded.
Yes.
Um, like I don't necessarily need more than the table in the dining hall as far as scene setting. That's enough for the first couple of paragraphs, maybe. But like the sender and the deliverer knew no one would dare read it. But I don't. That doesn't make me go, ooh, that's interesting. It makes me go, well, that's why. Why would that even be?
Yeah.
So I just haven't. I haven't gotten grounded. I haven't gotten hooked into the story yet. I think
This
that would.
this paragraph is the reason why I stopped. So there's two things for me that didn't work about this paragraph. The first sentence was great. Folded twice, perfectly smooth, with not a single fiber out of place. But this sentence, let's start with the fact that it's long enough that I need a compass to find the end of it. It is a big ass sentence, and I think that is a comma splice over there. Or I think it wants to be a comma splice over there. So I feel like this sentence could definitely do with some breaking up to give it some emphasis. But also, I need something more here. The sender and the deliverer knew that no one would dare read it if they were not meant to. Feels bleh.
And telly and omniscient.
Yeah. It doesn't feel like in the moment. It doesn't feel like it's coming out of Garrick's head.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
And go ahead. Sorry.
so. I think maybe the problem is that I like the first part. No seal, tape, wax, or ribbon to protect its contents. Full stop. I don't even know that I'd say the rest.
Well, here's where I was going to go with that.
Mm.
Because I actually kind of like the idea of this folded piece of paper being the object of the tension and conflict, but without the interiority of Garrick, without how it is affecting him. How is he thinking? Is he quivering inside with terror and sweat pouring off of him as you know, touching this thing, reading this thing is the worst thing ever or the best thing ever? Like, you know, this could be my future. This could be everything. Like, there's no. I've never seen anybody use a piece of paper sitting on a table as your
Mm.
opening of the story, but there's a lot of potential here depending on how it's played. But again, you'd be connecting me to Garrick's emotional reaction
Yeah.
of this paper on the table.
That's what I want here. Instead of this, the sender and the deliverer knew, because that's obvious, right? That's actually fairly obvious from the preceding sentence. Instead
Hmm.
of that, give me um give me his interiority.
Hmm. Yeah, because then I think it works. Then I think it's an interesting thing of, wow, we're gonna start a story looking at a folded piece of gray paper. Like, okay, that's definitely got my attention if it has an effect, but it has no effect. It's just a
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, and that is my problem, and that's what I want there. I want to know what Garrick feels about this piece of paper more than I want to know that the sender and the deliverer wouldn't do, blah blah blah. Like,
Yeah.
okay.
And
Um,
I know the world has given up on trying to do this correctly.
mm,
But if you're a British writer writing this, you're fine because gray with an E is the English way of spelling it. But if you're an American author, gray with an A is the American way to spell it. A for America, E for England. That's the way it works. Um, so just saying, I know everyone's given up. Even the internet and Webster's is like, do whatever you want. It doesn't matter. EA, do it in any way you want it. I won't give it up. I refuse.
I always I write in American English, and I always spell it with an A because my editor's name is Sean Gray with an A.
Which is funny because in America, the name gray is spelled with an E.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
color is spelled with an A. So,
because
and
that's
maybe
not
that's the reason why we,
complicated at all.
well, but maybe that's why we differentiate it
Yeah,
because A means color and E means
yeah,
person.
yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Anyway,
there's an easy way to remember it. A America, E England.
um, so continuing onward on that one. Okay, so ascendant discipline, as strict as it is annoying. He brushed his hands through his light brown hair and scratched the back of his neck, his fingers clenched in anxiety-ridden claws. They No. Okay,
Into.
okay. Let me read the paragraph and then I'll explain what stopped me. He brushed his hands through his light brown hair and scratched the back of his neck, his fingers clenched in anxiety-ridden claws. They hung at his sides as he stood, unsure of what to do. They inched toward the message of their own accord, and he stopped himself. Okay. I like the interiority and the sentiment. The reason why I stopped is because I've just brushed my hand through my hair. My fingers are anxiety-ridden claws in the back of my neck, but then they're hanging at my sides.
Mhm.
And I'm not bringing that together.
Yeah. So seeing the motion. So first of all, I think it needs to be into. Also, that last bit is a phrase, so I think it needs to be an ing, clinch ing into anxiety-ridden clause.
Yes.
And then seeing the drop, they dropped to his sides
Yes.
as he stood. So seeing that motion to where we're like, you know, but they
Mm.
hung is a weird, it hurts the mind movie because it's like, wait a minute, you just had a glitch in the matrix. You
Yes.
went, they were here, but now they're somehow there without anything in between. And you can use a verb like dropped, they flopped, they, whatever. I don't like they, um, because you're personifying it twice. I don't mind personifying it with the next line with the they inched toward. And by the way, again, I'm going to hit the American and English or British. In America, we do not put S's on the end of ward words. So it's toward. I know we say towards, but it's spelled with no S. The
Maybe
British
he's
put the
spelling
S on it.
English. I mean, I haven't seen an honor or a color yet, so it's hard to
Yeah,
tell.
true that, true that. This could be a British author, which, if that's the case, then you're doing it all right.
Yeah.
Um, but that's another battle that Webster has given up that I still am trying to. I'm the only man in the world fighting the S's on the end of word words because the internet says do whatever you want. But where I was going with that is you're personifying the fingers down here or the hands down here with they inch toward the message, and that's great. But I wouldn't personify them twice in a
Mm.
row, back to back. So, you know, he drop them to his side or slop them to his side or let them fall to his side or whatever, and then personify it in that next sentence instead of personifying them twice.
Yeah. I do, however, want to emphasize that I like the interiority here. I would like to have seen this interiority at this point.
Mm-hmm.
So up, move up.
Yeah, because now we start to understand the impact of this letter on the
Yes.
moment.
Yeah.
But you can do that 100% when you introduce
Yeah.
the
So
letter.
if you put in that emotion here where this letter is introduced,
We'll
then
even go up
we
just a little bit. You know, Garrick Eldritch's heart raced, pulse pounded,
mm,
um, terror rippled through Garrick Eldridge as he cast his like whatever. Like you can literally just do it right there
Ga-
in that opening
Garrick
moment.
Eldridge's fingers crawled towards the grey chunk of envelope. You can put that
Yeah,
fingers crawling right there.
on their own before
Yeah.
he stopped them.
Before he stopped
Whatever.
themselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can introduce that interiority faster and earlier, and you will draw the reader in faster and earlier.
Hmm.
But the
Because now,
interiority here is well done. I just want it earlier.
yeah, because what's the difference? The difference is in the way it opens now, there's this piece of paper that doesn't connect anything and we don't care. It doesn't mean anything to us versus adding that interiority. It's like, ooh,
Yeah.
what's this? It changes it from why to, ooh, what? Like,
Mm.
what's this? Not a why. Why
Yeah.
am I reading this? Why is it what?
Yeah.
Versus, ooh. So it does make a huge difference. And like we're talking about shifting a couple little things around.
Yeah.
Like that's how
I mean,
important it is.
it's no there's don't change what you've got here on the interiority. Keep this interiority. Just have it come earlier.
Hmm.
Ah, his friend Bram Cross brought his metal tray behind.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I'm going to read it and then we can stop and talk about it. His
Mhm.
friend Bram Cross brought his metal tray behind him and set it down on the lacquered wooden tabletop. The dark brows over his almond eyes rose as his vision settled on the mysterious summons. Calloused fingers stroke his slightly singed goatee, tilted up at a wry smile. Oh boy, you are in trouble. Okay.
Oh,
So
I was looking down and I thought you were talking to the writer. I thought that was you saying, "Oh boy, you are in trouble." And so I looked up and I was like, "Oh wait, that's the next line of
no,
this
that's the line of dialogue.
of the manuscript."
So the problem with that sentence is it's overcooked.
Oh
It's
yeah.
doing way that first sentence on starting on line 14 is doing way too much. His
Mhm.
friend Bram Cross brought his metal tray behind him and set it down on the lacquered wooden tabletop. So
Yeah. First of
what
all,
I like to say is 7 things is what you can say in a
well,
sentence.
before we even get into the all baked, because you're right on that, but
Yeah.
I want to hit something first. So, pronouns, by the rule, point back to the last noun, but really that's not even accurate because sometimes they'll point to the next noun. But really, what I teach is the only thing you need to worry about with pronouns is there any ambiguity at all? If there is, you're using it wrong. So technically, his friend Brom Cross brought Brom Cross's metal tray behind Brom Cross and set it down on the lacquer table. The brows over Brom Cross's, and all that would work
Hmm.
fine because it is that. But he's putting the tray
These
behind
two.
himself.
These
Yes.
two are problematic.
And this is why now you can go through and talk about the the fact that we just
Yeah.
have too many things in here and breaking up is going to make it so much clearer.
Yeah. So your first problem is definitely your pronouns. The pronouns made me stumble hardest. Okay.
Hmm.
But if you count how much is going on in the sentence, we have his friend as a piece of information. Bram Cross is the friend's name. He's carrying a metal lunch tray. Those are 3 separate pieces of information. And he sets it down on the lacquered wooden tabletop. That is a ton of information to jam into a single sentence.
Yeah, when the way I think about it, I don't break up metal lunch tray nor the lacquered wooden table. It is,
Yeah.
but it's just not the way I break it up normally. But still, it's the same thing. However, whether you divide those up into individual things, it's still too much information. We have an introduction of a character, we have a movement of that character, we have that character carrying something, we have a location of where that character is and what he's doing with the thing and what he's setting it on. Like that is a lot of information.
Yeah. See, the reason why I break it up is because you could make this sentence work by going, Bram Crass brought a metal tray and set it down on the wooden tabletop.
Yeah, I would actually, and again, if you look at the individual things, so his friend Brom Crass walked up behind him, period. He was carrying a
Yeah.
metal tray, which he set down, like, because you place him. So for me, one of the things that I try to push to readers is every scene setting is not about describing the world. It's about describing the world as it relates to the character. So by saying his friend Brom Crass walked up behind him, we have now placed him in our mind movie. We see us, we see someone moving behind us because we are the center of the universe. So
Yes.
knowing where things are around us is what's important, not knowing what's in the room. And so I think that's the first thing I would set up is let's introduce the friend, let's introduce where he's at in relation to us. Then we can bring in what he's carrying, what he's doing, so on and so forth. Because otherwise, I feel like that muddies it if you do too much. I still feel like that does too much if you're introducing the friend and introducing that he's carrying something and that he's, doing something with it.
Right. But if you simplify the descriptions, you can get
Hmm.
away with it without the
Yeah.
reader stumbling over it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if you're just very fast wanting to go through it, you can do that.
Hmm.
But three, you cannot have 2 descriptions per thing and jam them all into one sentence. It's not the reader's going to fall over trying to absorb that much.
Yeah.
Um,
Actually, instead of falling over, they're just not going to consume it and they're going to forget half those details.
yeah.
And when they actually matter, they're going to be like, did this happen? Where'd this metal lunch tray come from? I don't remember that. Or where'd this table? Like, that's the problem.
Then I'm also not in love with this sentence or this fragment. Calloused fingers stroked his slightly singed goatee. Like, I don't know why, but that painted a very weird image to me. Like, I think it's the slightly.
I was going to say, I hate the wishy-washiness.
Yeah, I would just
So
make
many
it,
people do this. It's singed.
it's singed. Just make it singed.
Yeah, it's a singed goatee.
Yeah.
Um, Seamed slightly, almost, kind of, sort of, almost every time you can remove those, and it just makes it stronger.
Yeah.
Because again, it's not about facts. We're writing, this is written in limited. And when you're writing in limited, it's facts that the character thinks are facts.
Yeah.
And even though it might be slightly singed, in reality, our character can just see it as singed. And it's just a
Exactly.
stronger visual.
Exactly. Okay. Um, good
Well, but
dialogue though.
there's another problem with that sentence.
Yeah.
Um, his fingers are tilted up into a wry smile,
Yes. Yes.
or his singed goatee is, but I'm pretty sure that that would point back to his fingers because that is the subject of the sentence. The subject of the sentence is callous fingers. The action is stroked. The
Also, I
slightly
don't
singed.
see I can't see a goatee tilting up like his lips are tilting. I don't know. Like
Well, but that's the object, and so your phrase, your
regard
following
even if it
phrase, is
was the
not going to
goat
point back to the object.
even if the goatee no, I
Right.
hear you, but even if it was the
Right.
goatee, it still doesn't paint the picture of a wry smile in like
Right.
especially a goatee. Isn't a goatee just
Yeah.
this little
It's
thing?
just this right here. Yeah.
So it's
This is
not
your
gonna tilt
goatee.
up. Like this is what tilts up.
Or no, guilty is also your goatee is also. It's been a while, but yeah, I think it's all of this. I think it's the mustache and the sides and then the little chin. I used to wear a goatee, so it's everything. This is a soul patch. If you just have the little chin thingy.
Okay.
Um, so, but still, you're right. It 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 doesn't work. But anyway,
Yeah.
the phrase still points back to callous fingers. So his
Yes.
callous fingers are tilting up into a wry smile,
Yes. Which
and that
definitely doesn't work.
which,
Yeah.
yeah, I
So
don't even know how you do that.
this is a bit so, and I don't know if this author is a native English speaker, but I will tell you that
I would think
English
so.
pronouns are hard. They were very hard for me to learn and understand.
Yeah,
So I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you because I have made a million of these mistakes myself.
yeah.
Pronouns
But I
are
mean,
pain in the ass.
almost every one of my clients are Americans, and
Yeah.
almost every one of them struggle with pronouns. So it definitely isn't just you foreigners that struggle with American
Yeah.
pronouns. And again, that's why, the grammatical rule is it points back to the last noun. I disagree with that because, I mean, you know,
So the thing is, I
well,
hear you
like
on
this
like the
sentence.
confusion, but as a non-native speaker who had to learn how to use pronouns, learning to look back at the sentence to the last noun helped me understand pronouns better in
Yes.
writing.
But
So
like this sentence,
yeah,
grabbing his books, Drake ran out the door. No one
yes,
is going to confuse that, but that points forward. It
yes.
does not point backwards. And so
So
again, what I always
that is actually within the rules. It's called the antecedent.
yes,
Because I
100%,
went down
100%.
a rule based
Yes.
around pronouns. So they've got precedent and antecedent pronouns.
Yes.
But for when you if you're struggling with your pronouns, the easiest thing to learn to do is just look back.
Yes.
What is your last named noun? Like proper named noun.
Subject,
Subject.
not object. That's the other thing that gets confusing. That's why it's not the singed goatee, even though it's a noun, because that's the object. The
Yeah.
subject, the last subject is what it points back to.
And
Um,
try and like so look at what the last subject is. Just actually just look back in your sentence at the last thing. and see if it's pointing at that.
And then once you get a little bit more used to it, the thing I always say is ask the question, is there a chance that some reader out there may not know what this connects to? Is there any ambiguity to it whatsoever? Because if there is, don't use a pronoun
Also,
because
the odd thing
that's
is
the
he
big thing.
didn't use a pronoun here, but there's an implied pronoun.
Right. Right. Yeah, no,
So,
I was talking about from the sentence
yeah,
before when we were talking about the two hises. I wasn't talking
yeah,
about this sentence at all.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, just pronouns are hard. Look back, see how it works.
Yeah.
This is
So when we
very
look at
fixable.
14, when
This
we
is
look at
extremely
14,
fixable. You just put
oh
here,
yeah,
let me just
his mouth, his lips
lips
tilting
tilted up. You don't
and
have to say
tilting
his, you just have to say lips.
and tilting, because again, that's the second time. This
Yeah.
is a phrase, so it needs to be tenseless, not past
Yes.
tense. So that's a whole different
Yeah.
discussion.
Needs to be
But
continuous, otherwise this is a comma splice,
right.
which is
So going back to the pronouns,
mm,
you do to be a professional writer, you must know how to diagram sentences. You must. And I know that's terrifying because we all have nightmares from third grade where we had to diagram sentences, but you don't have to know much. For the most part, there's a few other little things you should know, but for the most part, you just need to be able to pull out your subject and your action. If you can pull out your subject and action in every single sentence you write, 90% of what you need to know as a professional writer is there. So if we look at 14, our subject is his friend Brom Cross. That's the subject. His is not the subject. Our character's not the subject. His friend Brom Cross is the subject. And
mm,
what is the action? Brought. So now we've set our subject. So every pronoun after this is going to point back to his friend Brom Cross. So his friend Brom Cross brought his friend Brom Cross lunch tray behind his friend Brom Cross and set it down on the lacquer table. So that's what you have to think about.
yeah.
But yeah, you got to pull out your subject and your actions. And then twice I popped this author, him, her, I don't even know, on putting a tense in that phrase, the participle phrase.
When you
But
have a
again,
phrase that's connected to the main phrase of the sentence by a comma, it must be in the tenseless or the continuous form of the verb, the ing form of the verb.
yeah, of course, that's the beauty of English because there actually are exceptions to that because English sucks. But for the most part, you're gonna get that ing in there.
Yeah.
And this one would be.
Yeah.
But English is just
Oh, English
awful.
is prop full of except, but I mean every language is, so that's okay. Except
Yeah.
Finnish. Finnish has no exceptions. It's just terribly difficult.
But yeah.
All right. Garrick
And
moaned and hung his.
I was gonna say, the terrible thing is a lot of these ed problems that I see is because some editor, and I do put a lot of loathing and disdain into that word for this type because they repeat things that they don't understand and they go, "You've got a lot of ing words. Ing words are bad. No ing words." And it's like, no, it depends on the part of speech. They are
Ing words are a
correct.
problem if you're using a lot of was.
Right. They're correct when you're using it as the action of the sentence.
Yeah.
Callous fingers were stroking his slightly singed goatee. That's bad. We don't need the were stroking, though, calloused finger was stroking, if we're going singular. That's what they're really talking about. But again, if that's the difference between understanding why the rule exists and just understanding that the rule exists.
Yeah.
So the rule exists, don't use ing verbs. They're bad. But why? Because they're bad in the action of the sentence because it turns it passive. And we don't want to write passively, we want to write actively.
Yeah.
And yet, there's exceptions to that rule because sometimes there's a difference between adverbs and ing verbs for the continuing action of it. And so sometimes, he was running is the right thing to do at the moment because we want it to be a continuous action being painted in the mind. And so we use the was running or was ing, whatever. But again,
But
those are
then it is not
exceptions, not
passive.
rules.
Yeah, but then it is
Right.
then it is
Right.
passive.
Because
Then it's not passive. It is
you're using
simply
it as a
the
continuous action.
continuous tense.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So, and again, but that's why English sucks so much because there's so many exceptions to everything. But that's not even an exception of the grammar rule. That's an exception of
Um,
prose and what we want the reader to feel.
there are 42
That's
cases in the Finnish language.
there's what?
There's 42 cases in the Finnish language. English doesn't even have cases. So,
I don't even know what that is. I mean, we have uppercase
yeah.
and lowercase, but that's really
No,
because of
that's not
where
what a
the letters
case
were
is.
located on the printing press.
No, that's not what a case is. Anyway. So I mean, I'm just
So,
saying, as much as English sucks, there are complexities in languages. So it's okay. You will get through it. But it is yeah.
yeah.
I just want to give English a little bit of credit because people knock English a lot, and it does have its moment.
Oh, oh, trust me, I love writing in English. I am, and I know it's the only language I speak.
I was about
Um,
to say, could you write in
well,
anything else?
yeah. Well, like my joke is, if you can speak three languages, you're trilingual. If you can speak two languages, you're bilingual. If you speak one language, you're American. So yes, I'm American. But like when I had a book being translated to Japanese, first page, the Japanese translator called me up and was like, "Hey, so on the first page of this story, where's the giant standing?" And I'm like, what? He's like, "Yeah, where's the giant standing?" I'm like, "There's what book are you reading? There's no giant." He's like, "Yeah, the giant that's holding up the ceiling." And I was like, "You mean the line that says the support beam stretched out like the fingers of a giant hand?" And he's like, "Yeah, where's that giant standing?" And I'm like, "Yeah, no, that's just poetic. It's just a poetic way to say." I was like, "Oh yeah, we don't have that in Japanese. Can I just write the support beam stretched out diagonally?" And I'm like, "Sure." So trust me, I love that I do write in English, even though it is the only thing I can write in. But there's a magic to how powerful and how dynamic and how insanely complex and useful. And I mean, there's 30 words that mean the same thing, but they don't because each one brings a different emotion or visual or sound or feeling or taste or something to it. And I just don't know of any other language that has that. Again, I only speak English, so I'm very ignorant on the topic. But from what I've seen of other languages, I don't feel like they have the depth in
No, they
prose.
they they do, but you need to be a native speaker in order to know all of the synonyms and how they can be used and so on.
Right.
In case you were curious, a case defines the relationships between nouns and pronouns and objects and so on by changing the word. So Finnish doesn't have words like on and, you know, next to and stuff like that. You tell where one object is in relation to another object by how the ending of the noun is changed. And that defines the I can see your eyes glazing over. Never mind. A
Well, there's a
case a
reason why
case
you
does that.
there's a reason why I've never had another writer come into my circle that I would tell things to once and then they would just be done for there on out. And that was you. Like just and it's because you speak so many insane languages and understand all these different complexities of them. And English wasn't as hard. I mean, I know you just said you struggle with pronouns, but whatever. You didn't struggle with much from what I've seen.
Oh, thank you. All right. Garrick moaned and hung his head. You think, Bram? Do you remember the last few ascendants that the master called with grey notes? Don't remind me. One had his parcel melted down and was powerless until he could get a new one. Another had to endure 14 hours of sparring non-stop. The third, irritation and anger bubbled within his chest. I said, don't remind me. Just going to pause here.
Yeah, there's a lot of
So this should ideally be one paragraph. Line 24 and 25 should ideally be one paragraph.
well, I mean, we can start at the very top.
Yeah.
17 should be a part of the last paragraph because we just got a paragraph of Brahm,
Mm,
and then we went to a new paragraph where somebody said, "Oh boy, you're in trouble." There are two characters in this scene. The new paragraph is now Garrick.
yeah.
So Garrick says, "Oh boy, you're in trouble." That's what Garrick said because it's a new paragraph. And then we get Garrick moaned and hung his head. You think Brahm. Like now I'm thrown out of the story because you have completely lost me in that. And then it's a bunch of talking heads, and so I'm like, I'm not sure of who's speaking anyway to begin with. So now there's no way I can do the math and go Garrick Brom, Garrick Brom, Garrick Brom, and it's just talking heads, and that's a problem. I hate
Hmm.
talking heads. Such a missed opportunity.
I would like to know how Brahms said this. Like, was he smirking? Is he?
Well, that's the missed opportunity for
Yeah.
when you do talking heads. You have a bunch of lips that are floating in the air and they're saying words. It doesn't tell us emotions, feelings, actions. What are they doing? Are they just standing there still and stiff and just nom, 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 nom? Or are they actually like, I'm waving my hands for those who are on the podcast. I'm playing with a pen. I'm adjusting my mic. I'm brushing down my mustache as it's tickling my nose. Like there's all sorts of different things that are going on when I'm speaking other than
Yeah.
the words coming out of my mouth.
Like, was Bram standing there going like 1, 2, like, is he literally like doing a thing with his fingers? Like, what is he doing here?
Hmm.
Bring some emotion in there.
Yeah. And then,
Especially when you're clearly basically, Brahm here is doing what I call baiting the bear, which is when you use as you know Bob dialogue, or what would be as you know Bob dialogue, in like an aggressive way. You're saying something both characters know, but the one character is using it to bait the other character, to
mhm,
troll the other character, right? And that's fine. That works 100%, and it covers the as you know Bob problem. But
yep.
to do that, you need Brahms' emotion on that sentence.
Mhm,
Yeah.
yeah. And also, one of the things that I talk about all the time in uh, dialogue, because in narration, we're going to use proper names a lot. So, like right here, you're going to be bouncing between Garrick and Brom and Garrick and Brom. So, Garrick is going to be said in every paragraph, and Brom is going to be said in every paragraph
Mm,
if you don't do this silly talking head stuff. So when you do that, do not use character names in dialogue. First of all, we don't say that. I've never had a friend walk up behind me and say something to me and me go, "You think, John?"
yeah.
Like that's not it doesn't feel organic. We just go, "You think?" Like that's how we say it. And so one, because we overuse proper name nouns in our narration anyway, let's one of the ways we can cut them out is just don't do them. And unless like I do have a because I was just teaching this the other day to one of my clients, and I do have a piece of dialogue where one of the character calls the other character by his full name. But
Mm.
that's that, you listen here, Maxwell Alexander Drake. That's that's the mother. I'm gonna use your whole name because you're in trouble, and we're gonna. So I did it in that piece of dialogue because that is normal.
Also, sometimes if there's multiple people in the dialogue, you'll use a character's name because it's addressed to a character. Like,
Right.
if we have like 5 people sitting on a call, or whatever, I'll be like, this person, do your
Yeah.
thing. Or what are you doing, this person, you know?
Right.
Um, and then obviously you use the person's name. But other than that, like when you're talking one on one with someone, how often do you say their name?
Never.
Never.
Not unless you're, like I said, doing the
Yeah.
mommy all
Yeah.
your entire name. So yeah, it's but even still, even with a group of people, if they can see each other. So like, in the writer's room, when we're doing a writer's group, there's 6 of us in the group and we can't see, we don't have the cameras on. So,
Mm.
I'll go Bob, John, Sally, because I'm calling on people to go next. But if we were in a group, I would just turn to you and go, well, what about you? What do you think?
So, I mean, I have run a lot of role-playing games, and when I'm calling on somebody to ask what their character's doing,
Certainly.
whatever, I will absolutely use their name,
Certainly,
right?
certainly. Well, not every time, because sometimes if they're looking straight at you, you just
Yeah,
go
yeah,
and
sure. If we're in game, but
whatever.
if I'm switching between like, say,
Yeah,
Goth and Anik,
especially
I'll
if they're
be
not
like,
paying attention, they're
yeah,
looking down or whatever.
yeah,
But what I'm saying is we have that.
yeah,
Like Drake turned to Marie and pointed at her,
yeah,
and then dialogue. What do you think? I don't have
yeah,
to say what do you think, Marie, because I
yeah,
literally just turned to Marie and pointed
and
at her.
pointed at her. Exactly.
So that's what I'm saying is I'm trying to say that we don't have to do it like a Zoom call where the characters can't see each other. But let's say let's say Marie's got her back turned. I'll be like, hey Marie, what do you think about this? Because
Yeah,
I'm trying to get Marie's attention. That's fine too. It's
yeah,
all about just thinking about the situation and trying to paint that mind movie for the reader. But you do
yeah,
have narration where you can do that if you decide to use it and not write talking heads.
yeah. All right. So yeah, try and avoid the talking heads.
Yeah, and 24 and
Um,
25 is one paragraph as well. Remember, a
yeah,
paragraph
we've got
structure is one character's one moment of time. So irritation and anger bubbled within his chest is Garrick's one moment of time. And I said, don't remind me is the same amount of time. Now, technically, if we wanted, you wouldn't be wrong to include the next paragraph into it because that's still Garrick. I wouldn't because we're changing subjects. And so it's a different moment of time for that character. Even though it's the same character moment to moment, it feels like a different moment to me. So that's when
yeah,
I break up my paragraphs because I'm just like sentences. The reason why we are so conscious of how we construct sentences as this is the thing I want you to consume in this second. Paragraphs are the same way. So if we do this big long paragraph with irritation bubbled inside him, I said, "Don't remind me." He grabbed the note, unfolded paper, blah blah blah. That's two different things. One, he's answering his friend. The other, he's doing interacting with this piece of paper. So you wouldn't be wrong if you did it as one paragraph, but it would, in my mind, be better to do it as the two paragraphs because of the fact that I feel like it's a switch of subjects.
yes. Yeah. I would also leave it as two paragraphs. I was like, it could be joined, but it shouldn't be.
Oh yeah, no, 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 no.
All right.
Just
Garrett
since there
grabbed,
was some trouble with
yeah,
paragraph structure, I just thought we would
yeah,
touch on that.
just tap the nail. Yeah.
Mhm.
Garrett grabbed the note, unfolded the paper, and eyed the tight, elegant scrawl in the center of the page. His master's handwriting was unmistakable. There was no need for a signature. Thanks, Captain
So,
Obvious.
so here is the example of these phrases don't get ings because
Yeah,
we have
a
um
semicolon.
no, no, I'm talking about the first sentence, the first part of the sentence. So he
Oh, an
grabbed the
and.
note,
Yeah,
unfolded a paper, and eyed the tight, elegant scrawl. That's three distinct actions in a list with the and that's the reason why they all get eds. But those two that above that we popped didn't have an and, didn't have this. They were just, you tried to edit when it should have been an inged.
yeah.
Sorry, what?
I just the phrase "there was no need for a signature" is absolutely superfluous and can just be
Mhm.
cut. His master's
Well,
handwriting was
you're
unmistakable.
telling what you just showed.
Yeah,
You
you've
showed me that the handwriting was unmistakable, and then you're telling me that the handwriting is unmistakable.
yeah
So he doesn't need a signature.
doesn't need that.
Mhm.
All right, so the note says, "Get down to headquarters immediately." He squinted at the words, then turned the paper over. Nothing. He reread it. What? That's it? What is that supposed to mean? Can't he give me a straight answer for once? An emergency? No. He plans for everything, including this, I'm sure. So, Bram poked the pile of green beans on his tray and rolled his eyes. Cold, of course. What does the note say? Hmm. This does not work for me logically. He's just read it, then he's had a piece of dialogue. Then Bram say, like, something doesn't feel like it's gelling here. Or does it gel for you? Am I just,
No, 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 no. There's several things that I want to talk about here.
mm,
Um, First of all, I don't understand the 31 question. What's that supposed to mean? I mean, the note is incredibly clear. Get
yeah,
down to head. Now, if he said, "What? Why would he want me to come down there now?" or something like that. But what's it
mm,
supposed to mean? It's supposed to mean that you need to go to headquarters immediately. Like it just makes me think like you're not your brain's not all there if you don't understand what get down to headquarters immediately means. Because that's literally I mean, what is this supposed to mean? I don't know. Walk to the headquarters like now? That's kind
yeah,
of what it means. That's English. So that bothered me because I don't like whatever.
mm,
The other thing is so I love inner monologue. I love it. I use it two, three times a page. But one of the things that I try to teach people is when you're going to use inner monologue, just use it in your first draft, your puke draft. But then when you go back through, rewrite all of your inner monologue in narration. And if it reads the same, if it doesn't bring an extra piece of emotion,
Mm.
something make me closer to the character, something like that, then leave it as narration. And so if we were to read 33, was this an emergency? No, he planned for everything, including things like this. Garrick was sure. I don't feel there's a difference there versus an emergency. No, he plans for everything, including this, I'm sure. I don't,
Mm.
the inner monologue doesn't bring any extra emotion to me. It doesn't make me feel closer to Garrick. It doesn't give me insight into his thought process. It doesn't do anything extra. So I'm going to write that as narration
Yeah.
because it's easier on the reader. But yeah, it's way out of order too. Um,
Yeah.
it seems like as soon as he reads it, his mind is going to be, or if you wanted to start the process of, what? That's it? Then his mind goes into the, what thinking what it is. But again, I wouldn't do it as that because it reads better as narration, so I would do it as narration.
The problem is really that this line is said out loud, and Brahms' dialogue does not tie back to this.
No, the cold, of course. I don't know what that ties to. Where would
The
that go?
I'm guessing the beans? I don't know.
Where?
Because he's poking at his green beans.
Oh, right, 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 right,
So
right,
so
right, right.
Brahms seems very uninterested in this whole process.
Brahms
Bless you.
having a completely different conversation.
Yes, Brahms having a completely different conversation that does not seem to be relating to Garrick's levels here.
So this is what I call giving the reader permission.
Yeah.
So if I was doing this, I'd do something like oblivious to Garrick's sufferings, Brahm poked at his beans. Cold, of course. He looked over at Garrick. What does the note say? And then you're directing that action and you're giving me permission to know that the cold, of course, has nothing to do with the conversation that is going on in the moment.
And then we come to the next part of this, which also doesn't make sense. It says,
No,
it doesn't say anything. Garrick sat back down on the bench and scanned the room.
it,
It does say so. We saw it on the piece of
it
paper.
says, come here. Come here. Come here. What does that mean? Come here.
Yeah.
That doesn't say anything. Come here.
That's just it just
It
feels like
says
a very
something.
weird response. Like,
It does. It does. So that, yeah, the whole thing threw me out. The
yeah.
order, the inner monologue, the the Brahm
And the
doing his
beans and
thing.
the yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you need to rework your order here a little bit and like
Well, also, here's the thing. I think it's important to because we just kind of went off on this writer
Mm,
in kind of a harsh way, but I think it's important because what we just did here was we're trying to illustrate. Well, we talk about it all the time, the head book versus the paper book. When you're writing a book, you're writing two books at the same time, one in your head and one on paper, and you don't know it. When you reread your own work, you put them together seamlessly. The
mm,
problem is when you hand us the paperwork book, you can't hand us the head book. So this writer may know exactly why the response, what is that supposed to mean, makes sense to a message that says get down to headquarters immediately. Maybe this guy can't leave this room. Maybe he's on a moon and headquarters is in another galaxy and there's no way to get there immediately. Like maybe he does know all of this stuff, but we're the readers and we only get your paper book. And so this makes no sense to us, this response, because he said, come here. And he's like, what's that supposed to mean? Come here.
yeah,
Well, that doesn't mean anything. Come here. Like, it literally means something.
yeah.
So again, to the story, maybe these are absolutely perfect answers. So in the writer's head book, they're like, it means perfect sense. Give it a minute. No, no, you can't give it a minute because you've already thrown us out of the story. We're going to
Yeah.
stop reading because we're like, this is just awkward and I don't want to read this. There's a billion other books out there that I can read. And so yes, we kind of came down hard on this, but it
Mm,
really is to illustrate a point here that
yeah.
we're your readers. This is what you've made us feel. And I don't think that's what you want us to feel. And so even if you do have a perfectly good reason for all of this, you got to write it in a way that gives us permission to understand that, you know, like, what's that supposed to mean? He,
Hmm.
it was magically impossible to leave this room, and the guy knew it. Now
Yeah,
I'm like, oh, yeah, what does that mean? Why would he tell him to come here if he can't come here and he knows it? Like,
yeah,
that
that
is,
would make sense.
that's
But
what we need.
right now, all it says is come to headquarters, and Garrick's like, no,
He doesn't even say
well,
no. He says, I don't even know what that means.
yeah,
What does that mean? And
yeah,
it's like, it means go to your headquarters, dude.
yeah.
So
You got it.
we, the
If
readers,
that's
are completely thrown
impossible,
off.
we need to understand why in this moment.
Yeah. Or if you
Um,
just accidentally made a mistake, then
yeah.
now this is still what we feel as readers.
And the thing is, um, I think the other reason why I'm coming down hard on this is because I'm enjoying the setup of the story.
Mhm.
So I'm like, I want this to work. I
I
want
said
this
that
moment to
last
work.
I said that last night in group. It was a rough group because everyone who brought something brought really good pieces
Mm,
because that's kind of what's happening. Everybody is just being
mm.
elevated so much in the writer's room. And yet every single one of them bled like a stuck pig. And at the end of it, I was like, hey, I want to take a minute just to say, remember, we focus on the problems in here. It does not mean that these pieces were every one of these pieces were better than more than half the published crap that's out there.
Mm.
So, and I did tell you, and so it's the same thing here. We're not, yes, our job is to dog on the
Yeah,
actual problems, but I see the story. I'm enjoying it.
yeah,
I would like to be immersed in it. Um, because I think there's some meat here.
yeah. And this is just throwing me out. So I want this to be fixed so that I can enjoy the story.
Hmm.
Should I continue? How are we doing for
Yeah.
time? Yeah.
Um, we got 10 more minutes. We can do.
The dining area of Grenthorne University roared and echoed as students poured in from the late afternoon sparring classes, locking their swords, bows, spears, and clubs into the weapons rack just inside the main door. They didn't have to deal with this crap, dramatic threats from someone who could have them expelled at the stroke of a pen. The constant gurgling of copper pipes and cluttering silverware rolled into white noise. What do you mean it doesn't say anything? Brahm asked. I mean, it just tells me to go down to headquarters. That's it. No reason, no warning. Typical Ascendant bullshittery. Bram snagged the note from Garrick's hand and read the contents before returning it. Tough break, buddy, Bram said. He swallowed a piece of beef and jabbed at the paper with his gravy-laden fork. Do you want me to come with you? No. Garrick rubbed his forehead. Sweat from the news or the warm dining hall beaded on his fingertips. This sounds personal. Because I'm going to
So
pause
again,
here. Yeah,
all of that should be in his interiority when he reads it, not the what does this mean, but the really just come with no warning. Like what, why? Why does he want me? Again, that's why I go back to the
yeah.
why does he want me to come immediately? Am I in
Yes.
trouble? Is he going to behead me?
Yeah. Is he
Is he
going to
going to
expel
kiss
me?
me?
What is going like there
Yeah.
needs to be that needs to be up there. Also, I don't understand Garrick's behavior. The note says come down to headquarters immediately. If this guy can expel Garrick at the stroke of a pen, if this is a threat, then why is he sitting his ass down?
Yeah.
Why is he not going? Like, why is
Yeah.
he risking getting expelled?
Yeah. Why wouldn't he go, oh crap, I gotta go. Sorry.
Yeah,
And Brahm's like, wait, what? What did the note say? No time. Gotta go. It
yeah,
literally said the word immediately. And this guy has my entire life in his hands.
yeah.
So,
The behavior feels incongruent with what is being
yeah.
set up as the stakes here.
Although I do love a good bullshittery. So,
Yes.
if he does jump up and run, he's like, wait, what did the note say? Typical, what was it? Typical ascendant
Ascendant.
bullshittery. Gotta go. Like,
Yeah. It's a great phrase.
yeah, I love a good bullshittery. Like that is a great word. There's
Yeah.
nothing better than that word. But yeah, all of this is his interiority. It needs to happen. It's the same thing. It's the exact same problem that we had with the opening with the gray letter. You're
Mm,
just you're introducing something. we have no idea why
Yeah.
we're kind of floundering, and then you give us motivation and reason.
Yeah.
You can do that at the same time, and you need to. You
Yeah.
need to ground the reader in the stuff and the emotion and the motivation and the consequences and the reactions, and it can all be done all at one time. And then we get our cake and we get to eat it and enjoy
Mm.
it, and we don't get this weird disconnect that we don't understand.
This interiority is coming too late, and I think that is the biggest thing this author should take away from it, is your
Mhm.
interiority needs to come earlier. Now, the incongruency won't be solved by the interiority coming
Mm-mm.
earlier, but that's just an incongruity between your head book and the paper book, because I don't understand how Garrick can just ignore the summons.
Again, that's where, and I already said it once,
Mm.
my little Drakeism of give the reader permission.
Yeah.
So if now, here's the thing: when the writer writes it without feedback, they don't know that the reader is going to react this way.
Mm.
But once you get this to beta readers like us, and we've read it and we go, we are thrown out by this because we don't understand their motivation. Now you know that it's going to throw readers out, so you give the reader permission with something like, um, anyone else would jump up immediately and hightail it to headquarters, but Garrett didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like getting expelled would be the best thing for him or whatever. Now I'm like, yeah, yeah. Now
Okay.
he's just gonna sit on his ass and it's fine. We
Yeah.
understand. We're good with the reaction because we get it. But again, that's interiority.
Yeah.
That's that letting us understand the motivations of the character. I need to understand the motivation of every character in every paragraph of the scene because it grounds me, it entices me, it engages me, it immerses me. Without it,
It just
I'm just
drifts.
thrown out of the story. Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
thrown out of the story, and I will put this down because there's a million books that I can choose from,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to go to one of them. But for the most part, other than a little bit of phrase issues and
Mm.
then the British
The
S's and
pronoun
E,
thing.
and the little pronoun issues, this writer's got a good grasp of prose.
Mm.
Some paragraph structure issues that have been consistent, so
Yeah,
those
little
need to be
niggles, but
tightened
I
up.
think for the most part, very clean prose, very,
Mhm.
very strong. I mean, I haven't bitched about weak verbs or stuff like
Mm-mm.
that. Of course, I mean, things can
Mm-mm.
always be strengthened, but good verbs, good verb use for the most part, good descriptions for the most part, you know.
Take
So,
it,
yeah,
take advantage of those talking heads. That's
yeah.
where you get that interiority, the scene setting, the world building,
Mm,
motivation. All of that comes in with this one little liners. You know, all sorts of things you could do with all of those
yeah.
that dialogue up there.
And then the biggest thing for me is sort out the incongruity of the action, and but give us the interiority with the thing, not the
Yeah.
thing and then the interiority.
Yeah. One last example. If we look at
Yeah.
43, what does that mean? It doesn't say anything Brahm asked. That doesn't build the world. That
Mm.
doesn't show us anything about Brahm. It doesn't give us the dynamics between Brahm and Garrick. It does nothing. It's just, first of all, you have a question mark. That means he asked it. So you're already showing me that he asked. I just hate the I hate the speech tag shouted after an exclamation point and asked after a question mark because that's literally what the punctuation is doing for us.
Yep.
That's just my personal thing. I don't use speech tags at all, so I'm probably not one who should bitch about that, but I do hate asked. Um, we could do, there's a difference between Brahm, and I'm not going to try to write this well, but Brahm looks at him in a quizzical way. What does that mean? That shows interest. Um, Brahm barely paid attention to him as he shoveled the cold beans into his mouth. What does that mean? It doesn't say anything. Like, it shows that he's not interested. Um, there's all sorts of things you can do with Brahm's reaction, his body language. You could also build the scene. We still haven't really seen much about this. He shifts in his on the bench or chair or whatever because I don't really know what's around them. Um, you know, a student could brush by him at that time to build other things like that. All of that can happen in this one line where what do you mean it doesn't say anything? And then just taking it back. Because I consider Brahm as talking heads just as much as the next line, which is just dialogue. Doing a speech tag on a line of dialogue does not make it not talking heads.
Exactly. No, absolutely. Fully agree. But yeah, I
So,
mean, there's a lot to like here. I think you just need to drag your interiority up and like give it to us when you're giving us the items. Marry the two, and I think you're on a good streak here. That would be my
yeah.
advice.
Yeah, it looks character driven. It feels character driven. It feels like a good story. There's some interesting things happening. I just need to feel it more. And
Yeah,
I feel it through the main character.
yeah. And I think that is a good place on which to end this episode, and we will see you soon for another one.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in. This is Marie Mullaney, your co-host on this literary adventure. Our goal is to provide you with valuable insights and discussions on writing. If you believe in our mission, please like and subscribe our podcast. Sharing our episodes with your community not only helps us grow, but also contributes to a richer, more diverse conversation about storytelling. We appreciate your support. For a deeper understanding of the topics we've discussed, head over to Just in Time Worlds on YouTube. It is a treasure trove where fantasy meets history and science. Every Tuesday, you'll find new videos that delve into the intricacies of world building, drawing from our rich real-world history. Whether you're a writer, a role player, or just a fantasy enthusiast, Just in Time Worlds offers unique insights that will enrich your perspective. Check it out and join the journey of crafting incredible worlds.
If you are ready to take your writing to the next level and work with a group of highly motivated, dedicated writers who are all working to not only improve their writing, but improve your writing, plus you get to work with me on a weekly basis, then I'll encourage you to check out writersroom.us. This is a website that I have created that I really wish I had 30 years ago. It's everything a writer needs to become a better writer. Not only do we do weekly critique sessions, both from other members as well as me, we have daily writing sessions, I do monthly classes, Q&As, we have activities, I do all sorts of learning exercises, such as I do a quarterly writing prompt contest, and just tons and tons and tons of things. So if you're ready to get serious about your writing and you want to actually finish that novel and have a chance of it being published, then I encourage you to head on over to the Writer's Room and join me there. And as a special promotion for listeners of Releasing Your Inner Dragon, I'll go one step more. If you would like to get 50% off for 3 months, reach out to me. There's a million ways you can do that. You can do it through StarvingWriterStudio.com, DrakeU.com, any of my social medias such as LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever. Reach out to me, say that you would like to check out the Writer's Room for 50% off, and I will send you a link that will allow you to do just that. So hopefully you're ready to start getting serious about writing, and I'll see you in the Writer's Room.